into the Minnesota zone. Gordy Roberts, number 10, back to get it. He feeds it to Steve Payne, number 44. Payne to Craig Levy, number 34. And Minnesota make an immediate line change. Kevin Lowe, forecheck by Willie Plett. Now it is Roberts trying to center one. Slides it into the corner, over goes Plett. Behind the net to number 17, Ashton. Now Marouk tried to center it, but the Minnesota player Ashton had been knocked down, and now Lee Fogelin, number 2, flips it to center ice. Here is Roberts for Minnesota. Dropping it back to Craig Levy. Levy, who split the season between the North Stars and their farm club at Salt Lake City, flips it in. That's Cemenko back to the net. Willie Plett tied him up. Now Minnesota trying to clear it. Lars Lindgren at the point, shoots one. Muir stopped that. Fogelin now shot it on the boards. Now again to Gretzky at center. Number 99, Gretzky, ridden out of the play by Broughton of Minnesota, and the North Stars clear it down the ice. Going back to get it, Randy Gregg, number 21. It's icing against Minnesota. Well, the early signs show that Minnesota wants to play Neil Broughton head-on against Wayne Gretzky.
Well, right now, let's take you to Montreal, where the Canadiens have gone ahead by the score of 2-0. He just lets go with a blasting shot. Naslund from the left side. 2-0 for the Montreal Canadiens. That's in the third period against the Islanders.
Maybe that weak rest has hurt the Islanders more than it has helped. Meanwhile, the Canadiens continue to be a big surprise. Here's Paul Coffey for Edmonton. Clearing it to Big Dave Cemenko, number 27. He drops it to Randy Gregg. Gregg, number 21, fires it in. Little Beaupre back to get it. Shoots it on the board. Into the corner, Brad Maxwell check. Now centered. Cemenko shoots. He scores! Cemenko! Set up by Gretzky. And Edmonton scores early.
Well, you wouldn't have expected it from Dave Cemenko, but he has been playing well, especially the last game. Take a look at it right in front of the net area. He just drives the shot right between the pads of Donnie Beaupre by the looks of it. That pass out in the corner. Number 27, Dave Cemenko, looks, he sees some room between Beaupre's pads, and he goes for it.
And a great setup pass by Gretzky from the corner. And Edmonton takes the lead. Back to the live action as Minnesota dump it in. Lee Fogelin to Willie Lindstrom, who tips it down into the Minnesota zone. Going back is Giles. Beaupre will set it up for him. Kurt Giles, little stocky defenseman. Now to number 15, Holmgren. Ahead to Al McAdam, number 25. Minnesota, McAdam had the stick chopped out of his hands. Now George Ferguson into the corner to Holmgren for Minnesota. Holmgren to Ferguson, shot right on. You're the save there. And now a penalty has been called in front of the net. And now sticks go up. McAdam trying to get at one of the North Stars. But a penalty has been called, I believe, against Edmonton.
Good chance right in front of that net area for George Ferguson. Could have well tied up this game.
For our local systems, we'll pause here. You're watching the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Get starstruck with Radio 1990's Week of Stars and win big in our rock and roll trivia contest. Starting Monday, April 23rd, see highlights from Lisa Robinson's conversations with Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, Culture Club's Boy George, John Cougar Mellencamp, and Stray Cats' Brian Setzer. And be on the lookout each day for questions and clues to Radio 1990's rock and roll trivia contest. Don't miss a single day of Radio 1990's Week of Stars, only on the USA Network. At 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, all this week.
Well, it's penalties against players on each team. McAdam of Minnesota, Mark Messier of Edmonton, minor penalties, and so each team will be a man short. Kenny Linsman came up with a big goal in that decisive 7th game over Calgary.
Oh, did he ever, but he had taken a bad penalty just before that. He bailed himself out.
Now each team a man short, puck into the Minnesota zone. Kurt Giles outraces Linsman, gets to the puck, and as a result, it's icing against the Edmonton Oilers at a face-off back in the Edmonton zone. Bill Mahoney, the Minnesota coach, looking on for the North Star bench.
This game is authorized under television rights granted by the National Hockey League. It is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the National Hockey League is strictly prohibited.
Face-off coming up in the Edmonton zone. Gary Green alongside. I'm Dan Kelly. Al Trutwig, your host. Hope you enjoy the Stanley Cup action here on USA. Puck in behind, and Edmonton clear it as Kevin Lowe shot it to center, and the Oilers break in with Lindsman, number 13. Lindsman checked from behind, and Brian Bellows got it out of the zone for Minnesota. Lindsman has it again. Shot it to the line. Bellows knocked it down, and now Lowe losing it to number 7, Neil Broughton. To Giles, ahead to Tom Hirsch. Hirsch, the rookie, got it to the Oiler line. Lowe knocked it down to Lindsman. Now to Anderson. He's checked, and Levy flipped it in, but right onto the stick of Kevin Lowe. Lowe feeding it across, and now Fogelin shot it to center. It's cleared in by number 9, Glenn Anderson. Bounces off Roberts right back to center, and Dr. Randy Gregg, number 21, gives it to Paul Coffey. To Lindsman. Now to Anderson. Leaving for Lindsman. Centered it. Cicerelli for Minnesota is there and is able to clear it to center. And Gregg, number 21, goes back to get it. Gregg dropping it back into his own zone. Now the Oilers come out of there with a pass to Gretzky from Coffey. He's checked, and Lawton is pulled down by Gretzky. And Gretzky, who is usually on the other end of those type of plays, will get a hooking penalty. The score here early, 1-0 in favor of Edmonton.
Each year, people spend millions of dollars to ship pounds and pounds of air. That's because they're charged for a 2-pound envelope, even though they're only sending 1 pound. Isn't there a better way? Introducing the new Emery 1-pound urgent pouch. Stop paying 50% more than you have to. Call Emery, the air delivery service that charges you for the delivery, not the air.
Wayne Gretzky in the penalty box, number 99, and ironically he trips number 98. Hooking was the call, however. Gretzky joining Messier in the penalty box for the Oilers.
So Edmonton 2-man short, and Minnesota just one. Roberts a drive. You're the save. Where's the puck? Everybody was looking. They still can't find it. Where the heck did it go? It's down the pad of Grant Pure, I believe. Search that man.
Well, this might be a tough one for advertisement. USA Today, find the puck. Well, see if you can find this one.
Too tough. That's too tough. Strange play. Pure had it, didn't know. Glenn Sather, the GM and coach of the Oilers, looking on from the bench. A 4-against-3 power play. Minnesota with the best power play in the regular season. In the playoffs, they haven't been quite as good. Overall, with 8 power play goals, only a 17.0 percentage, but as I mentioned, best power play in the league in regular season play. They had a 26.8 percentage, and immediately Edmonton clear the puck down the ice. Gordy Roberts, number 10. Roberts was outstanding in the series victory over St. Louis. To Broughton, number 7. Neil Broughton leaving it for Maxwell, knocked away from him, and Roberts has to go back, and then Kevin Lowe was upended, and Maxwell will get a penalty here for Minnesota. And there goes the North Star advantage right down the drain with the call against Brad Maxwell.
I believe it was for hooking. He pulled Kevin Lowe to the ice. That's going to even things up, at least for the time being anyway. There you see it. Behind the play as well, number 5, Maxwell pulling down Kevin Lowe.
First thing that strikes me, Gary, after having done playoff action in St. Louis, Detroit, Long Island, Minnesota, how quiet this building is compared to those other buildings we've visited so far in the playoffs. It's all sold out, but whether it's the acoustics or the crowd not being noisy, it's just very different, isn't it?
You suppose that the Oilers have grown to spoil this crowd here at the Coliseum?
Here's Broughton, number 7, moving in. Broughton tried to center it, knocked away by Messier, and then cleared down the ice. Going back to get it is Kurt Giles, number 2. Each team were 2 men short. Now they're just 1 as Broughton, number 7, weaves his way to center. Using the poke check was Coffey, and now Giles has it. Now Roberts gets up slowly, and he's been injured. Gordy Roberts, who's been so impressive in these playoffs for Minnesota, seems to have injured his back.
He really has been playing well, and it appears he's holding either his hip or his tailbone area. Let's see exactly how it happened. You see number 9, Glenn Anderson. I think he may have pulled the feet right out from underneath of Gordy Roberts.
To just land on his tailbone or the small of his back. I can feel that from up here.
You really can. That's a vulnerable area when you're speaking about padding in those hockey pants. Not a lot of padding in that tailbone area. Take a look at the young captain, Brian Bellows.
Each team a man short. Edmonton leading this game 1-0. Cemenko got the goal. Curry and Gretzky the assist. 1:32 the time. That's the only scoring play in this game. Here's number 21, Ferguson. 2 center now into the Edmonton zone around Gregg. Gregg tied him up. And then as it was centered, Grant Fuhr intercepted that pass up and held it for a faceoff.
Well, let's go now to Montreal once again, where the Canadiens are ahead by an amazing 3-0. Take a look. Steve Shutt gets the 3rd goal, number 22 for the Canadiens. It's set up beautifully. There you see Shutt in front of the net area, tipping that puck in. Billy Smith, glove hand side. 3-0 for the Canadiens in the 3rd period. They look as though they're for real.
Well, they're starting to make me a believer. I think I would have been already, but when you get ahead of those Islanders 3-0, you're doing something. Here it's a 1-0 game as Broughton drops it into his own zone to Lars Lindgren, number 28. Lindgren, the Swedish defenseman, shoots it in. That was deflected. Low stick went on it, and Fuhr had to make a save. Now Anderson, big strong winger, number 9, comes out of his own zone and was met and spun down by Greg Levy. Here's Anderson, moving in on left wing, shoots. Beaupre the save on the short side, and back comes Greg Levy, number 34. Levy, drop pass, but nobody was with him, and the Oilers come back. Lee Fogelin to Messier, number 11. Gretzky back on. Edmonton with a brief power play, but Ferguson shoots it around on the boards. Now McAdam gets it out of the zone. That's as far as he could get. Now slides the puck into the Edmonton end of the rink with Coffey, number 7, back to get it. Paul Coffey at center ice with a pass to Gregg. Into Gretzky. Gretzky couldn't handle it, and Tom Hirsch just kicked it ahead to McAdam. Now Gretzky had it for the moment. Now Yeri Curry dropping it back. Here is Coffey. Ahead to Cemenko. Cemenko into the Minnesota zone. Broken up. North Stars are now back at full strength. And then as the puck was shot back in offside, an intentional offside called against Edmonton. For our local systems, we'll pause here. You're watching the Stanley Cup playoffs on USA.
Thursday night, we'll bring you Game 2 of the Wales Conference Championship as the Stanley Cup champion New York Islanders take on the very surprising Montreal Canadiens at the Forum in Montreal. The Islanders were expected to be there, but the Canadiens were not, which means anything can happen on St. Catherine Street. Game time Thursday night for Game 2 is set for 7:30 Eastern Time right here on USA Sports.
From Edmonton on home ice, leading 1-0. A very tentative start to this game, I think, Gary.
Well, I think both teams maybe feeling each other out a little bit. Bill Mahoney had hoped to get his line of Broughton, Payne, and Bellows against Gretzky. He does not have last change, however, in this building.
Tom Hirsch with a shot wide of the net. Now the Oilers come back. Pat Hughes dumping it in. Going back is Hirsch. Number 22, Hirsch, the rookie off that United States Olympic team out of the University of Minnesota. To Bellows, now to Payne. Payne tried to give it to Broughton, but he was going to the bench in a line change. And now Edmonton move it in, but Dennis Marouk is there to knock it away. Now number 24, Kevin McClellan, shoots it in for Edmonton. Beaupre trying to clear it out. Held in by Don Jackson. His shot stopped by Giles. And the North Stars come back. Number 17, Brent Ashton. Couldn't get around Gregg. Now centered it. But Kevin McClellan was there for the others. Minnesota's Platt and Gregg battle. Coming up with it. Ashton, but a centering pass. Intercepted, and back comes Edmonton with Dave Hunter dumping it into the Minnesota zone. Number 5, Maxwell. Cleared to Ashton. Knocked down by Pozar, but picked up by Maxwell, moving in, shoots, and falling in front of that was Kevin Lowe. And Pozar has it back of the Edmonton goal. Over to Dave Blumley, number 20. He shot it to center. Lindgren intercepts that to Marouk, who just chops the puck into the Edmonton end of the rink, and Lindsman back, lost it. Chance for Ashton. Fuhr kicks out the left leg. Stopped Ashton, who was in alone. And Fuhr with perhaps his best save of the game. Oh, Lowe. Here's Minnesota losing the puck. Edmonton attack again. Clear it into Lumley in the corner. Lumley shoots one. Save made there by Beaupre. And now a penalty called in front of the net against Lindsman of Edmonton. Kenny Lindsman takes one of those penalties in the offensive zone. The Stanley Cup playoffs are coming to you coast to coast on USA. We'll be right back.
Magna from Honda. Own one and you own the road.
Ken Lindsman in the penalty box for interference, and you will see exactly why that call was made on interference. He was standing in the goal crease, bothering Don Beaupre.
So Minnesota trailing, but on a power play right now. Here's Broughton, number 7. Trying to work around Coffey. Broughton did a shot. Big save by Fuhr on Brian Bellows. That's the save of the game so far. Here's Payne for Minnesota. To Maxwell, back to Payne. Number 44, Steve Payne shoots one. Fuhr kicks that up. And now Coffey clears to Gretzky. Edmonton shorthanded, but number 99 dangerous at all times. Over to Curry. In behind the net to Gretzky. Beaupre trying to hustle back in there. Does. Gretzky run around by Maxwell. Unable to center it. And Broughton gets it for Minnesota. Number 7, Neil Broughton, but back of the play, a penalty called now against Minnesota. Another interference call, and this one will nullify the North Stars' man advantage, and it will be against Brad Maxwell.
Once again against Brad Maxwell. The North Stars don't seem to be content to take that power play opportunity when they've got it. Once again, evening up the situation. Coach Bill Mahoney behind the bench right now. I'm sure would have liked to have had at least the remaining 1 minute and 13 seconds of that penalty to Lindsman. What's the power play? There you see, just to the right of your screen, Maxwell off to the side. And he has taken another minor as well. 4 minutes in all for Brad Maxwell.
I would suspect an interference call plus unsportsmanlike conduct call. 2 minutes for interference, 2 minutes for unsportsmanlike conduct. So when Lindsman gets back on in a minute 13, Edmonton will have the man advantage for well over 2 minutes.
Well, not only was the penalty bad, who took the penalty was bad as well, because the North Stars really can't afford to be without Maxwell on the point. He has been their best defenseman in playoffs.
Here's Ferguson. Now, he'll take the face-off against Glenn Anderson. Each team a man short, but here's Anderson centering one, and Beaupre just tipped that away. Here's Messier, number 11. Trying to feed it through, knocked away by Ferguson, and Lowe knocked it down on the boards. Anderson shot it to center ice. Here's number 11, Messier, clearing it in to Anderson. Anderson in on goal, Beaupre out to meet him and make the save. And Al McAdam comes back for Edmonton. Ahead to Ferguson. George Ferguson moving in. Play was offside at the Minnesota blue line. 10 minutes, 51 seconds left in period 1. 1-0 Oilers. A big save a couple of minutes ago. Well, here's another save on Anderson by Beaupre, but how about the save that Fewer made on Bellows?
That was the save of the game without any question. But watch this by Anderson. He's not afraid to go where Angels would not tread, because he will cut in. He's got good balance. He's got good agility. He just got pulled down, however. Beaupre making a good move by coming all that way out in order to cut down Anderson. Anderson really didn't get a chance to get a shot away.
Here's Minnesota's Levy shooting it in. Payne in on the boards. The Oilers try and jam it by him. Payne held his ground, trying to force a face-off, and succeeds just inside the Edmonton blue line. Over the regular season, by the way, the Oilers did not lose to Minnesota. There's the hero of the overtime victory over St. Louis, Steve Payne. He not only scored a goal, he did as great a victory dance as you'll ever see.
I'm sure he had a lot of reason to do that victory dance, Dan, going into that 7th game, coming back to Minnesota. He had informed the St. Louis Blues through the media that there was no need of them to come back all the way to Minnesota, because the Minnesota North Stars were going to win. Well, Steve Payne did something about it, but it was close, and I'm sure he was feeling that pressure.
I mentioned the regular season. In 3 meetings, 2 wins for Edmonton and a tie against Minnesota. Here's Messier moving it in. Craig Levy broke it up. Now Anderson getting it loose. Centered it. Messier couldn't get it, and Payne works it to Marouk, number 9. Marouk trying to drop it back, but Messier intercepts that. And here is Kevin Lowe. Lowe, who has been Edmonton's best defenseman in the playoffs, working it ahead as now Messier drops it back again to Kevin Lowe. Now the Oilers attack, moving in with a centering pass to Curry, but breaking it up and shooting it down the ice was Lars Lindgren. And here's Gretzky. Now Edmonton on a power play. Linsman is back on, and Maxwell in the box, and Edmonton on a power play. Here's Broughton for Minnesota, clearing it down the ice. Meanwhile, this is one thing that Minnesota did very well in the St. Louis series, killing off penalties. Let's see how they fare against Edmonton. Big Cemenko fires it in. Gretzky in to get it. He's checked and shot right back out by Hirsch. Coffey giving it to Gregg, now ahead to Cemenko, or to Curry it was. Back to Coffey, and the play goes offside at the Minnesota blue line. You look at the playoff statistics of penalty killing. Minnesota giving up just 6 power play goals against, an 87.5 percentage, and they've scored 3 shorthanded goals.
Well, this man, Wayne Gretzky, as I had indicated in the opening, when he's going, so are the Edmonton Oilers. He will be Al Troutwig's first period intermission guest this evening, so stay tuned for that upcoming intermission.
Edmonton on the power play in the playoffs, 8 power play goals at 21.1 percentage. Here are the Oilers with puck control right now, but a good defensive play by McAdam. He cleared it, and now Tom Hirsch picks it up and fires it down the ice. Going back is Coffey. Coffey leaving it there. Now Coffey gets it again. Number 7, Paul Coffey for the Oilers. Long pass ahead to Pat Hughes. It goes into the Minnesota zone. McAdam back to get it, and it's an icing call. Edmonton shooting it in from their own side of center. Not a very heads-up play there by Edmonton. It will cost them a face-off back in their own zone.
Gary Curry, a very key man as well on the power play, as well as even strength. Right now, Glenn Sather still has 1 minute and 28 seconds to do something offensively with his power play units. Brad Maxwell still in the penalty box for that amount of time. I'm sure they would enjoy a 2-goal lead right now. Oilers leading 1-0.
You mentioned Gary Curry. He leads all Stanley Cup goal scorers at this point. He's had 8 goals in 10 games. Here's Kevin Lowe, number 4. Edmonton still with the man advantage. Over to Messier, but again, the Oilers mess it up, this time by going offside. Glenn Anderson in ahead of the play and offside.
Interesting that in the Winnipeg series, it was Messier and Anderson who had a lot of difficulty getting going, yet Gretzky and Curry were outstanding. Well, then when it came to the Calgary series, it was Anderson and Messier who performed extremely well. Well, Gretzky and Curry really were shut down for a big part of that series. So if they can get both of those 4 men going for this series against Minnesota, Glenn Sather would be extremely pleased.
On the face-off, it is Anderson. Working it over onto the wing to Randy Gregg. Now back to Anderson. A minute 8 left in the penalty. Here's Gretzky breaking in. Number 99. Tried to center it, but Broughton made a good defensive play to tip it away. And then the North Stars get it to center. 55 seconds left in the penalty. Here's Coffey shooting it ahead, and Gretzky carries in with Messier. To Messier behind the net. Mark Messier, number 11. Messier centers one out in front. Comes to Anderson. Anderson now to Gregg. Randy Gregg back to Anderson, number 9. Glenn Anderson leaving it for Paul Coffey. Got it over to Messier. He let it go. And Craig Levy for Minnesota takes over. Back comes Levy to Broughton, number 7. Here's Neil Broughton. He dropped it back all the way to the Minnesota end of the rink. And Kurt Giles, who had just come onto the ice, gets it, fires it to center. Gregg has it there. Randy Gregg shooting it in. He was on his own side of center again, and again it's icing against Edmonton, and that's what you're not supposed to do in the power play, and the Oilers have done it twice during this power play.
Yeah, Glenn Sather will tell you that's a little lack of concentration, a little sloppiness combined. Players just not thinking sharply when they end up dumping that puck in, not over the red line, and especially when you've got a power play going right now. Kurt Giles and the Minnesota North Stars doing an excellent job killing off that penalty. 8 seconds remaining in Maxwell's penalty. The North Stars boxed it up in their own end zone extremely well, not allowing the Oilers to get through that slot area and get a good shot away.
Minnesota win this faceoff, and here's Giles flipping one high, and he flipped it too high, and it goes into the crowd here at the Northlands Coliseum. The faceoff will be outside the Minnesota, or outside the Edmonton blue line. Willie Plett had a couple of big goals in Game 7 of the St. Louis series.
Did he ever, and boy did he rifle that shot, especially the third one that tied up the game shortly after St. Louis had gone ahead. It's a long shot, but a very hard drive as well.
Now here is McClellan, number 24. Moving in, the Oilers go offside. Meanwhile, the penalty has expired to Maxwell. The North Stars have killed it off. For our local systems, we'll pause here. The Stanley Cup playoffs are coming to you on USA.
Stay tuned to USA. At the end of the first period, we'll have not just another conversation, but a chat with number 99, Wayne Gretzky of the Edmonton Oilers. We're going to ask him if his shoulder really is as big of a problem as some people say, and just how he feels about the Oilers' chances to get that Stanley Cup in 1984. After that, Bobby Orr and the Hockey Legends will take a look at the infamous Red Kelly, and also as a part of that Wayne Gretzky interview, a taste test of Wayne Gretzky's Pro Stars cereal. Is it as good as everybody says it is?
Face-off won by Edmonton. They drop it to their own line, and number 16, Hughes, shoots it in. Going back is Hirsch. Off the boards to Marouk, and now to Ashton. He couldn't clear it out. Here's Edmonton holding it in. McClellan in front of the net. Beaupre beat him from close in. McClellan again. Back to Lowe at the point. Shoots one. Skate save by Beaupre. And now Plett for Minnesota. Good play to get it to Marouk, number 9. Dennis Marouk into Brent Ashton. He flips it into the corner. Plett and McClellan go in after it. The aggressive forechecking of Plett pays off. Here's Ashton to Marouk. Shoots one. Off of Fogelin and wide of the net, but then Fogelin pulled down Marouk, and he will get a hooking penalty here. And Minnesota will get a power play chance. You're watching Stanley Cup playoff action, and this is the USA Network.
To work the way your hand works, the ideal measuring tape would be shaped the way your hand is shaped, with its control button where your thumb is, shaped the way your thumb is shaped. And because working hands perspire, your tape would have a slip-resistant tread. Introducing the Lubkin XL from Cooper Tools, the difference between work and workmanship.
Lee Fogelin rubbing his eyes right now. 2 minutes for hooking was the call as he dumped Dennis Marouk. 33 was the time, I should say. There you see it, just off to the right of your screen. Marouk going down.
Kind of a tricky little play by Fogelin. He thought the referee would be not watching anymore, but he was, and Bob Myers sends him off. Now Minnesota with Hirsch at the point. Over to Giles, now into Bellows, trying to center it. Behind the net to Broughton, back to Hirsch. Weak shot, he broke his stick, and Gretzky comes back. Hirsch has no stick. It's a 2-on-2 Edmonton break, and Hirsch, without a stick, got a good piece of Gretzky to knock him off balance. Heck of a defensive play by the rookie Hirsch.
It really was, Dan, and I've been impressed with Hirsch, especially in the 7th game against St. Louis. I thought he played outstanding on the blue line. Good move there he made on Gretzky.
Here's Kurt Giles, giving it to Levy, now ahead to Broughton. Broughton to Steve Payne, number 44. Payne drops it to Broughton, number 7. Neil Broughton trying to move it in. Now does center it, but it's cleared away by Gregg for Edmonton. 57 seconds left in the penalty. Number 34, Craig Levy. He came on strong in the playoffs for Edmonton, or at least for Minnesota as well. Now to Lindgren, ahead to Paul Holmgren, number 15. Holmgren, who only has 2 knee injuries and a shoulder injury, jamming up with Don Jackson. Now Marouk centered one. Fuhr got a piece of it with his goal stick and deflected it all the way to center ice. Lindgren over to Holmgren, back to Lars Lindgren. Craig Levy, number 34, now to Marouk. Puck goes into the Edmonton zone. Lowe shooting it over on the boards to Hughes, who deflected it to center. Now Giles knocked it down, and now Holmgren bumped in that collision, and he's injured, and we mentioned his numerous injuries previously. Now it's Edmonton coming back. It is Glenn Anderson sliding one wide of the net. Beaupre out of the goal to clear it away. It is Marouk, number 9. That Holmgren can hardly move as he comes to the bench. You don't think he has some intestinal fortitude? Puck held in by Maxwell. Now Jackson shooting it around onto the boards. And Glenn Anderson got it to center. Puck cleared back in and low for Edmonton, dropping it over to Gregg. Shot to center, picked up by Lindstrom. He leaves for Anderson, number 9. Now to Messier. Back to Anderson, but Lindgren broke it up. Now Anderson again in the corner. Centered that. Beaupre knocked it away. Now Willie Lindstrom into forecheck. Lindgren cleared it on the boards on right wing to Bellows. And Brian Bellows, the Minnesota captain, in across the line to Broughton with a centering pass. Now over to Payne, broken up, and Messier back for the Oilers to Coffey. Number 7, Paul Coffey. Centers to Cemenko, fired it wide. Lindstrom centering one. Comes to Messier. His shot wide by 3 or 4 feet. Now the Oilers holding it in again. Coffey to Gretzky. He scores! Gretzky! And now Don Beaupre all over the referee Bob Myers about something. He wants to argue about interference or something.
It was interference on the part of Cemenko that I'm sure he is arguing about right now, but what a shot by this man, number 99, Wayne Gretzky. Watch Cemenko in front of the net area. It appears as though Cemenko pulled the left pad of Don Beaupre, but Beaupre was outside the crease area. There you see it. Cemenko is not in the crease when Beaupre is outside of that crease.
I don't think he has much of an argument. You can't crash him down or cross-check him or something like that, but I don't think Beaupre has much of an argument either.
I agree totally. When the goaltender's out that far, then he is fair game, and Cemenko didn't take him out with the body. He just kind of put that stick on his left pad, gave it a bit of a nudge, but that's fair game.
Well, Gretzky really fired that in. And it's 2-0 in favor of Edmonton. Coffey and Messier get the assist. 16:41 the time. And it is 2-0 now for Edmonton. Minnesota's Craig Levy to Paul Holmgren, number 15. Now to McAdam. His shot turned aside by Fuhr. Fuhr has made a couple of fine saves here in the opening period. Edmonton break out. Pozar to Lindsman. Lindsman leaving it for Pozar. Checked by McAdam and Craig Levy. Number 34 for the North Stars, cleared to center. Now McAdam races down. Cleared away by Lowe. Randy Gregg being forechecked by Fogelin. Now Lumley cleared it. Craig Levy shoots one. Fuhr out to make the save. And the rebound, Holmgren feigned on it. And Fogelin then cleared it to Lumley, who deflected it to center. Maxwell shoots it right back in. Fuhr leaving it there for number 4. Kevin Lowe ahead to Fogelin. Tipped in by Gretzky. Going back is Maxwell. Number 5, Brad Maxwell, as Cemenko stands in front of the net. Cleared by the Minnesota North Stars to center. Coffey feeding it back to Yeri Curry. Drop pass to Cemenko. He didn't see it. And Payne comes back with Broughton. Neil Broughton moving in. He was upended, and there'll be a penalty against Edmonton. Center to Maxwell. Shoots one. You're the save. Rebound. Cleared by Edmonton, and then a stoppage in play and a penalty coming up against Edmonton. You're watching the Stanley Cup playoffs, and this is the USA Network.
With the new AT&T card, it's more than just what you can do, it's where you can do it.
When I'm at home, I use my AT&T card to charge calls to the office.
At my client's office, I use it because it gives me an itemized record of all my calls.
On the road, I use it because I never need coins. And when I'm in a hurry, I use it to make charge calls quickly. I can even use it to make calls with AT&T's new card caller phones. And from over 150 foreign countries.
The AT&T card. It's the anywhere there's a telephone card.
Randy Gregg sitting in the penalty box for the Oilers. 2 minutes for tripping was the call. Now you'll take a look at it. Broughton was cutting in on that left wing side. Gregg just went down, pulled him down. 18:07 was the time. The North Stars on the power play for the remainder of this period.
A minute 53 to play. The shots on goal in the period are even 9 apiece. These North Stars are behind 2-0, but they've had just as many and maybe more scoring chances than Edmonton has had. And right now, the North Stars on the power play with Maxwell, number 5, a key man on this Minnesota power play. Meanwhile, Levy to Napier at center. He was checked, and it's taken by Hughes, number 16. And Hughes circling, and now a penalty called on the play away from the puck carrier. I'm not sure who it's against. It's going to be against Fogelin, and Edmonton will be 2-man short.
This will give the North Stars a great opportunity to get right back into this game, especially going into the intermission. Lee Fogelin taking a penalty behind the play. Meanwhile, the North Stars have not had Gordie Roberts back in the lineup after that injury. He has a bruised tailbone. He will be back up. See Fogelin just in the middle of your screen.
Now, we mentioned some key injuries to McCarthy, to the center iceman Acton, and now the injury to Gordie Roberts.
Well,
and Roberts, you mentioned earlier, Maxwell has been their best defenseman in the playoffs. I'd argue and say Roberts, but we'd probably both be pretty close to being correct. They've both been very good.
They can't afford to be without either one of them, Dan, right now. That cross-checking penalty, however, to Lee Fogelin. Edmonton 2-man now.
2 minutes for cross-checking.
18:30 the time of the penalty. They are delaying things while they get the penalty clock straightened out, and there you see it. 1:37 left in drag, and now the 2-minute minor up against Fogelin. So Minnesota with a big opportunity here, a 2-man advantage. Maxwell, number 5, over to Levy. Levy to center ice, firing it in. North Stars Napier digs in after it, gets help from Marouk. Dennis Marouk, number 9, to Napier. Napier side of the net, shoots one. You're the save, and he smothered it. Napier almost put it in from a very sharp angle.
Well, as Grant Fuhr went down, that puck almost went over that goal line. Napier just off to the left of Fuhr. You can see Cicerelli falling in the background, but that puck came very close to going over that goal line.
Well, it's final from the Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens have defeated the Islanders 3-0. Mr. Penny again with a Stanley Cup shutout. And we'll be in Montreal for Game 2 on Thursday night. 7:30 Eastern time. Here's Brad Maxwell, a shot from the point. Now Marouk will whack at it, but Gretzky, with Edmonton 2-man short, gets the puck and clears it down the ice. 1 minute left in the period.
Maxwell, a real key on their power play back in the point. He scored 8 goals on the power play this year.
Here's Napier into Cicerelli, number 20. Back to Craig Levy. Levy fakes the shot. Now fakes it again, gives it to Maxwell. Maxwell behind the net to Cicerelli. Quick pass in front to Napier to Maxwell. Shot it high. Over top of the net. Cicerelli to Levy at the point. Greg Levy fires. Fuhr the save. Dives out. Covered up on the rebound. And now Coffey and one of the North Stars take a push at each other. In front of that net, it was Mark Napier that Coffey was pushing at.
You'd have to say that Grant Fuhr has been excellent in this first period. Look at that tip-in. A good opportunity for a tip-in, I should say, by number 5, Brad Maxwell. Great little pass by Napier over to Maxwell. Maxwell knew where he wanted to put it. However, that went up and over Grant Fuhr, but Grant Fuhr has been sharp in this first period of play.
The shots on goal right now favor Minnesota 11-9, and if you were counting scoring chances, Gary, I'd give Minnesota the edge as far as that's concerned, too.
I agree with you, but Fuhr has been the difference so far.
Here's Minnesota's Broughton. Over to the point. Greg Levy deflected by Bellows wide. Now centered, and Payne missed an open net. Greg Levy a drive. Fuhr got a piece of that, and it deflected into the crowd. And again, the North Stars miss a couple of seemingly sure goals.
I don't think right now that they can buy a goal. Of course, that has something to do with the acrobatics of Grant Fuhr. Now watch Fuhr. Watch him closely. In the front of the net area, he's down. Then he gets himself knocked down again. Now he just deflects this puck up and over the glass. You can see Brian Bellows looking at that puck. It goes sailing over the glass. Some great acrobatics in the net by Grant Fuhr.
At one point, Steve Payne had an open net to shoot at, but couldn't find the handle on the puck. Just 13 seconds left in the period. 2-0. Edmonton leading, but they're 2 men short right here. Minnesota win the faceoff. Bellows to Broughton. Behind the net. Good defensive play by Lowe to break it up and now to try and fall on it. Lowe crawling now. It's centered in. Levy shot it wide. Here's Payne. The buzzer goes to end the period, and Grant Fuhr, playing brilliantly, held the North Stars off in the late going, even though his team was 2 men short. Shots on goal in the period favored Minnesota by a margin of 11-9. Coming up in our intermission, visiting our USA studio, hockey's famous number 99, Wayne Gretzky, to talk with Al Trutwick. The score after 1 period of play in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. 2-0 Edmonton. Our advantage briefly for Minnesota as this period begins, but Greg will be back on in a few seconds. Here's Maxwell to Broughton. Now Greg is back on. Just a 1-man advantage for Minnesota. Maxwell in the slot. Back to Craig Levy, number 34. Shoots one. Stick save by Fuhr. And Messier flips it to center. 10 seconds left in the other Edmonton penalty. Here's Payne for Minnesota into number 7, Neil Broughton. Broughton to Bellows. Bellows shoots. And Fuhr again comes up big. Stopped a hard, heavy shot by Bellows. And now the Oilers break up. Here's Messier with Coffey. The pass to Coffey, shot it wide. Now Gretzky trying to drop one back. Does to Yeri Curry. Now Messier gets it. Flipped it on the boards, knocked away, and Broughton gives to Bellows at center ice. Brian Bellows, number 23. Only his 2nd year in the league, but he's the North Star captain to McAdam. And then an ill-advised drop pass by McAdam. And the puck comes to the Minnesota line. Here's McAdam again. To Craig Levy. He flips it in. Cleared away. It's Yeri Curry. Shot it behind the net. McAdam intercepts. Ferguson. Shot it again. Fuhr with a good close-in save. And Fuhr has been as sharp as I've seen him in this league.
He really is playing well, Dan. He's standing up, cutting down that angle, and he is just letting that puck hit him, much the same as Steve Penny is doing in Montreal.
Here's Kurt Giles to Holmgren to McAdam. Minnesota behind 2-0 and having their hearts broken here by Grant Fuhr. Puck shot in. Fuhr sets it up for Coffey. Coffey a little move to break away. Now beats another man. Number 7, Coffey. Into Yeri Curry, centering to Cemenko. Cemenko's shot stopped by Beaupre. And Willie Plutt, number 24, for Minnesota. Beating it out on the wing. Now ahead to Marouk. Moves in, shoots, and again Fuhr kicked out that right leg and got his pad on it. Minnesota. Hirsch held it in, but lost it, and then Gretzky couldn't clear it. Gretzky gets it back again. Number 99, Wayne Gretzky. Gretzky moving in, lets one go. That hit Hirsch. Hirsch and Gretzky. Gretzky centered. Comes in front. Shot blocked by Hunter. And Minnesota start back. Willie Plett shoots it into the Edmonton zone. Muir sets it up for Fogelin. Now clearing it on the boards. Shot to center by the Oilers. Minnesota trying to clear it back in, but Hunter was there. And now Lowell flips it to McClellan, number 24. Kevin McClellan across the line, couldn't center one, and Cicerelli for Minnesota bangs it off the boards back to center. We've played 3 minutes of period 2. Here's Don Jackson shooting one into the center ice area. Lindgren flips it back in for Minnesota, and Kevin Lowe is there to get it. Number 4, Lowe. Up the middle to Hunter, but Maxwell intercepts for Minnesota. Trying to clear it. Now breaking in on left wing is the rookie Lawton, but the play was offside of the Edmonton blue line. From Alaska to Hawaii, you're watching the Stanley Cup playoffs on USA.
Well, Paul Coffey may not be considered the best defensive defenseman in the league, but nobody can take the puck out of their own zone better than this man, number 7, Paul Coffey. He can really set up some offensive opportunities for his teammates.
He scored 40 goals, had 126 points in the regular season. Here's Ferguson for Minnesota. Shot. Muir stopped that. Muir standing up well and challenging the shooter. Now Paul Holmgren for Minnesota. Got it in front, but Randy Gregg intercepts for the Oilers and feeds it to Anderson. Number 9, Glenn Anderson. Into the Minnesota zone to Messier. Back to Anderson. Cuts in and out of the goal. Beaupre to clear it away. Now it's McAdam. Bumped by Lindstrom. Minnesota can't clear it. Anderson to Messier. Messier checked, and the North Stars' Lindgren now flips the puck down into the Edmonton zone. Number 21, Gregg. Over to Lowe. Shot to center. Broughton intercepts for the North Stars to Giles. Now to Levy, number 34. Levy fires it in. Payne digging in on the board. Shot back out by Lumley for Edmonton. Levy controlling it. Hit the referee Bob Myers as he tried to clear it in. Levy has it again. Over to Giles. Kurt Giles shoots it in. Muir back of the net. Almost lost it. Centered. Muir got back in time. Levy a shot. Muir the save. Rebound. And Ashton's shot was blocked. And now Minnesota's Linsman beating it, and Lumley comes to center. Ahead to Pozar. He's checked, and Ashton for Minnesota now clears it to center ice. Linsman for the Edmonton Oilers. Passing it to Yaroslav Pozar. Shot in. And here comes Baruch, number 9. Upended at center, and Curry for Edmonton starts back. Gary Curry, a quick shot, and Beaupre kicked out his leg to stop that. Willie Plett drops it back to Levy. There's Gretzky to steal it, but Giles intercepted his pass. Can't clear it. Lowe held it in. Giles checked in. Here's Plett. Long shot. Muir makes an easy save, and Pozar, number 10, flips it off on the boards to Lowe. Now to Curry. Cleared to center. Gretzky behind the back pass to Yeri Curry. His shot stopped at the defense by Hirsch. And Broughton feeds it to center. It's called back on a 2-line offside pass. Exclusive national coverage of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Only on USA Sports. We'll be right back.
Grant Fuhr has been the difference in this game. So far, the Oilers ahead 2-0, but the North Stars have had their chances.
They have outshot Edmonton 18-12. They've had the better scoring chances. This is Tom Hirsch for Minnesota to Lars Lindgren to Neil Broughton. It's Cemenko checks him. Now it's dropped back to Lindgren again, the former Vancouver Canuck. Ahead to Payne, number 44. Steve Payne into Broughton. Broughton with a shot partially blocked. Now Bellows behind the net, but Coffey skates him off. Here's Payne. They call him Mr. April in Minnesota. Behind the net to Bellows. Bellows trying to center. He was knocked down by Coffey. And Gretzky feeds it to Yeri Curry. Cleared it to the line. Bellows comes right back for Minnesota. Brian Bellows, big strong winger. Gretzky with a good defensive play to check him from behind.
Who says Gretzky can't play defensively as well as anybody in this league when he wants to?
Here's Edmonton with Curry, taken out of the play by Maxwell. And Payne cleared it. It hit a broken stick. Now Payne again shot it to center. Don Jackson to Randy Gregg. Gregg cleared to center. Now it's George Ferguson for Minnesota, shooting it in. Offside. No, a penalty call apparently on the play. And against Edmonton. For our local systems, we'll pause here. You're watching Stanley Cup hockey on USA.
Minor of this game. 2 minutes for slashing is the call. You can see that slash being delivered to number 44, Steve Payne. The North Stars will once again get an opportunity on the power play. Payne, by the way, is cut by the looks of it. He's going for help in the dressing room.
I think he was arguing with Bob Myers that Gregg should have had a penalty for intentional injury. Well, this time, Dr. Randy Gregg won't be able to do the stitching job. Payne is gone to the locker room, and Gregg's in the penalty box. Here's Platt. Back to Maxwell. Shoots one. Save again by Fuhrer as he just got a piece of it. And it ricocheted up into the crowd.
Well, instead he may have been keeping his fellow doctors in business because it appears that Payne is cut right around the lip area. Obviously, Bob Myers didn't think it was serious enough to get an additional 5 minutes for attempt to injure. Instead, he got that slashing penalty. You can see Grant Fuhrer once again as he makes another key save of this hockey game. He's hot tonight.
He's been the difference. Edmonton leading 2-0. Gretzky flips it to center. Knocked down there by the North Stars, and Marouk, number 9, flips it across to Maxwell, now to Platt. He fires it in for Cicerelli. Out of the goal, Fuhrer. Cicerelli behind the net, but Fuhrer cleared it. And it comes to Lowe, who now gives it to Messier. Long shot. Messier fired it high and wide. Greg Levy back to get it. Levy ahead to Platt. Dumps it in. Fuhrer out of the net, now clears it for his teammate, and Hunter has it for Edmonton. Hunter, number 12, into the Minnesota zone. Shoots right on. Glove save by Beaupre as he stretched out as far as he could and held it long enough, and will get a face-off. Well, that Edmonton team led the league in shorthanded goals in the regular season. They just about scored one right there.
Well, 36 during the course of the season. 2 so far in playoffs, but look at this hit by, well, Willie Platt or Kevin Lowe. Who got the best of it? Lowe ended up on top. Kevin Lowe, by the way, he has just been absolutely outstanding during the course of playoffs this year. He has played extremely well. He doesn't get a lot of credit, known for a very good defensive defenseman. Meanwhile, down in the other end zone, Beaupre coming up with the big save. Watch how he throws that puck away. Not quite quickly enough, but he knows that his team is on the power play. He was trying to get it to them as fast as possible.
Beaupre, who in the playoffs has shown as quick a hand as you'll find among hockey goaltenders, just showed a quick hand there. Here's Bellows. To Broughton, can't catch up with it at center. And now Yari Curry out there with Gretzky. Into Gretzky, into a bad angle. Gretzky behind the net, trying to center one. Gretzky still with the puck. Now does center it, but Craig Levy is there. Levy has to knock it away, and Hurt now flips it to Bellows. Number 23, Brian Bellows, trying to make a centering pass. Jackson broke it up. Bellows now into the corner to Holmgren. Back to Bellows, dropped it back. Nobody at the point, and Hirsch has to go back. Penalty just about up. Hirsch overskates the puck. Now penalized player Gregg is back on, and so Edmonton killed it off very well.
The North Stars have had better opportunities when they've been even tonight. They have not been able to muster up much of an attack on their power play.
Here's a loose puck cleared away by Beaupre. Comes to the line where Copy for Edmonton shot it to center. And Levy flips it off the boards. And Anderson is back to get it to Paul Copy. Copy, number 7. Passing it over to Lindstrom. Broken up and shot out by Napier for Minnesota. Going back is Fogelin, and it is an icing call against the North Stars. With the score, Edmonton 2, Minnesota 0. A reminder that USA Sports is bringing you the Stanley Cup playoffs. Play underway. Edmonton, Messier in center ice area, dumps it into the Minnesota zone. Big rebound off the boards. Penalty coming up to Minnesota. And Edmonton will get a chance to put their power play to work right here. Willie Plett, a big aggressive winger that Lou Nanne and the North Stars got from the Calgary Flames, but he gets caught in the act of doing something there.
He was a little frustrated because Kevin Lowe had really leveled him at the Minnesota blue line. I mean, he decked him good and hard. So then Willie Plett, he was looking to try and take a little bit of aggression out on someone. Well, that someone was going to be another Edmonton Oiler player, and as a result, he's going to the penalty box. The Oilers on the power play, and Bill Mahoney and his team are going to have to try and kill it.
Gary, you were the head coach in Washington. Bill Mahoney was your assistant. Here's a look at the penalty, and there you see the little trip that Plett made to get the penalty. Did you envision at that time he would be a head coach in the National Hockey League?
Yeah, there was no question about that. Bill Mahoney has got plenty of capabilities, plenty of coaching experience. He's a career coach. He was 16 years at the University of McMaster in Ontario, Canada as a college coach. And he was with me in Washington and coaching in the American League in Adirondack last year. He did a very good job. Lou Nanne, general manager of the North Stars, recognized that job that he did and made him the head coach last summer.
Here's Edmonton on the power play. Messier. And a roll off the stick. Lindgren trying to clear it now. Stolen by Lindstrom. Number 19, Willie Lindstrom. To Messier. Centered to the cross. Shot wide by Anderson. He had a whole open side of the net. Staring him in the face, and he missed. Now Fogelman shoots off the shoulder of Beaupre. Now Messier behind the net. And Maxwell cleared it away. And Willie Lindstrom is down on the ice and injured. That's what the Paynes are hollering about. They thought that Minnesota should have had a penalty on the play, but none was called.
I think it was Brad Maxwell that took Lindstrom out pretty hard just to the right of Beaupre. Lindstrom would like to have a few words right now with Maxwell. Be smart just to leave well enough alone. Let's take a look. Lindstrom coming across that crease area. I think Beaupre and Brad Maxwell took a little piece of him. Great glove save once again by Beaupre, but it's Maxwell that comes through and takes Lindstrom down.
A minute and 23 seconds left in the penalty to Willie Plett of Minnesota. Edmonton on a power play. During the regular season, there's Mahoney, the man we were talking about, the Minnesota bench, or the Minnesota coach. In the regular season, 81 power play goals for Edmonton, second best in the league with the man advantage at 25.6%. Face-off as the Oilers' Cemenko pokes it into the Edmonton zone. Oilers holding it in. Here's Randy Gregg, but Giles for Minnesota intercepts and clears it down the ice. Edmonton in the playoffs with 8 power play goals, 21.1%. Copy ahead to Cemenko. Giles knocks it down, and back goes Randy Gregg. Over to Yari Curry. Now to Copy. The dangerous Paul Copy. 40-goal man during the regular season as a defenseman. Into Gretzky. Back to Curry. Over to Randy Gregg. Now to Copy. Back to Gregg again. Over to Curry. Oilers handling the puck beautifully. Gregg shoots one. That's deflected. Into the corner it came. Curry to Gretzky. Gretzky behind that net where he's so dangerous. This time Tom Hirsch made a good play to tie him up. Clears the puck to Steve Payne, and Payne and shoots it down the ice.
The Oilers will have a chance for about one more rush, 15 seconds to go on Plett's penalty, and Paul Coffey will wind it up.
But this time his pass is deflected by Bellows and goes up over the glass into the crowd. Again, we go back to the first intermission, or the first period, and the injury to Gordy Roberts when he fell to the ice. He has not returned, and the North Stars really miss him.
Well, speaking about guys that have had good games so far tonight, Dave Cemenko, I had thought, has just been playing extremely well. You saw that action in front of the net area. Cemenko was so strong, and when he is skating and working hard and hitting, he makes one good left winger.
He's the Edmonton policeman. Meanwhile, an interesting thing, the Oilers assistant coach John Muckler was saying that when they put Cemenko on the line with Gretzky, he's kind of Gretzky's keeper, as they say, or bodyguard, said it really made a difference to Gretzky in the last part of the Calgary series, that his play and helped Gretzky's confidence out there, because Calgary was a team that was really doing a lot of hitting on Gretzky.
I don't think there's any question, if you take a look at number 20, Dino Cesarelli, that Dave Cemenko gives Wayne Gretzky and Yari Curry some room. He's a tough individual. Anybody that takes on Muhammad Ali in a fight, Dan, as Dave Cemenko did last summer for charity, it's got to be pretty tough.
Face-off at the Edmonton blue line. 8 minutes exactly left in the second period. Here is Cemenko, or Lumley it is, deflecting a long pass, and it goes up over the glass and into the crowd. We'll have a face-off back just outside the Edmonton blue line. Brad Maxwell, the North Star veteran defenseman, former first-round draft choice, and one of the best point men in the game today.
What a season he had. 73 points. He was the third leading scorer offensively for the Minnesota North Stars, and that says something, because the North Stars are a very good offensive team that has 9 20-goal scorers.
Here is Maxwell. Shot at the center. Mark Napier, number 16, the former Montreal Canadian. Napier to Cicerelli. Napier back to Maxwell. Shot high off the glass. Cicerelli in the corner, back to Lindgren. Shoots one wide by 3 or 4 feet. Now Lindsman. Got up to center. Knocked away by Lindgren, and the North Stars come back. The 18-year-old rookie Lawton tried to flip it through, but it was offside at the blue line. For our local systems, we'll pause here. The NHL Stanley Cup playoffs are only on USA. Play just underway. Edmonton leading this game 2-0. Randy Gregg ahead for Hunter. Shot into the Minnesota zone, but in ahead of the play. And offside was Pat Hughes. Faceoff will be back out near the center ice red line.
You take a look at Pat Hughes. I mentioned earlier when Gretzky and Curry wrote this year that they lost 5 out of the 6 games. Well, that first game was right here in Edmonton. I was here for that game. Pat Hughes scored an amazing 5 goals that game, and the Oilers did win.
Here's Levy for Minnesota. Slides the puck into the Edmonton zone. Muir cleared it. Now Hughes, number 16, ahead to Kevin McClellan. Now to Hunter. He's checked, and Greg Levy takes over for Minnesota. The Oilers leading 2-0, and right now doing a very good job of playing defensive hockey and checking off Minnesota. They have not had the chances in the last several minutes that they did earlier. Levy chases back after a puck, clears to Marouk, and here's a Minnesota 2-on-1. Marouk in front to Ashton, diving, sprawling, saved by Fuhr. Now Maxwell, Fuhr stopped that. Rebound to Ashton. Brent Fuhr, sensational. 3 saves in about 5 seconds.
That's about as fine a display of goaltending as I've seen any goaltender do this year, Billy Smith included. Grant Fuhr was just amazing as he was up and down, making one save and another. Look at this save that he makes on Ashton's tip. Ashton thought he had that right side of Fuhr's all open. Fuhr's back, positions himself, makes another save, but here he comes again, his third stop. Just getting up and standing in front. Here we take a look at it from the high angle camera. Fuhr making the dive to make that save on Ashton. You can see how quickly Fuhr gets right back up on his feet. Positions himself, gets himself in front of that puck. He does it again on the 3rd time. He is not down scrambling. He is up on his feet every single time.
Now Edmonton breaking out of there. Anderson clearing it into Messier. He speeds in. Beaupre, a big save. And then Ferguson for Minnesota. Cleared it to Al McAdam. That's knocked down by Coffey. Ahead to Messier and fired right back in. Maxwell back to get it. Clears one to center. And it is Melnick for Edmonton. Out on the ice, I believe, for the first time in this game. Long bouncer handled by Beaupre. And now Minnesota start back. Ferguson, number 21. Ferguson in across the line. Now had to circle back. Drops it to Brad Maxwell, number 5. Long pass ahead, goes into the Edmonton zone. Coffey back to get it. Icing called on the play against the North Stars. As you look at Don Beaupre, little 5'8", 160 49-pounder. How can a guy that size play in the NHL?
Well, I'll tell you, he makes some pretty fine saves, and he has this game so far. He makes that stop on number 11, Mark Messier. Messier just showed great speed, agility, cutting in on that left wing side. But Don Beaupre came up with the save. Beaupre, he's not very big, Dan, but he is quick, especially that glove. Maybe one of the fastest gloves in the league. He's pretty agile for his size.
Minnesota behind 2-0, but breaking down 3-on-2. Here's Broughton, but the play went offside at the Edmonton blue line. A dangerous 3-on-2, and somebody went offside.
Thinking about players that have played well, Lars Lindgren has been a good addition to the Minnesota North Stars. He came across mid-season from the Vancouver Canucks. Lindgren has the ability to make that one good pass out of your own end zone that can oftentimes get you out of trouble. He has helped improve the defense of the North Stars.
Here's the line that the Minnesota coach Bill Mahoney wants against the Gretzky line. He has it out there right now. Broughton with Payne and Bellows on the wing, and it was interesting in the first period that line was on for both of the Edmonton goals again.
I was just going to say, Dan, I'm not so sure that Bill Mahoney didn't have second thoughts in between periods of changing that game plan. Meanwhile, we've got some Montreal Canadian fans here in Edmonton.
He didn't look much like Larry Robinson, did he? Broughton now on this face-off against Messier. Now in the Edmonton end of the rink. Bellows gets it back to the point. Lindgren shot blocked. Vogelin cleared it to the corner. Here's Bellows, centers one, and Gretzky is there to feed it ahead to Curry. Gary Curry. Drop pass for Vogelin, number 2. Leif Vogelin firing it in. Gretzky into the corner. Centered one, but Neil Broughton intercepts. Here's Broughton. Turns on a dime, gets it to center, gets it back. Minnesota-born Neil Broughton to Steve Payne. Payne slides it into the corner. And Lowe tried to shoot it up, knocked down by Payne. Payne shoots one. Oh, he fired that just wide of the target. A knee-high slap shot. And then play is called, and we'll get a face-off in the Edmonton zone.
Number 98, Brian Lawton, hasn't seen much opportunity to play in playoffs. He really has been hampered this year by a couple of injuries, one being that of a shoulder injury. He was the North Stars' #1 draft pick overall this year. He's got lots of talent. Let's take a look at this shot by Payne. Bellows almost got a deflection on it there. Payne just really wound up and rifled that puck.
Now a new line for Minnesota. Cicerelli with Lawton and Napier. Cicerelli taking the face-off against the Minnesota center iceman Lindsman. Cicerelli now, well, it's going to be Lindsman will be tossed out. Now ready for the face-off. The North Stars. Lawton a shot block. Now Craig Levy at the point. Levy shoots wide of the net. There's Napier in to get it. Mark Napier centered. Cicerelli a shot, another one. And again, Grant Fuhr plays spectacularly in that Edmonton goal crease. 2 big saves.
Well, on the second one, I don't know whether or not Grant Fuhr knew for sure that he had it in his glove. He thought he was holding that puck on his glove. Look in front of the net. Cicerelli and Lawton right there. You can see Fuhr kind of looking around. Is it in the net? No, I think I've got it. Napier just beating that pass out to Lawton and Cicerelli. Cicerelli getting a whack at it. And that high upstairs camera shows us, once again, those 2 key saves by Grant Fuhr. He has, without question, been the difference in tonight's game.
2-0 Edmonton leading. This day, despite being outshot 23-16 and also outchanged when it comes to good scoring opportunities. North Stars clear it in, shot back out by Edmonton. And Levy flips it in. Randy Gregg back to get it. Over to Copy. Now rink wide to Gregg again. Long pass at center. Levy intercepts that. Flips it into the Edmonton zone, and Paul Copy clears it to Lindstrom. Now picked up by Messier. Headmanning it to Anderson. Back to Messier. In front to Glenn Anderson. Backhander. Shot it just wide. Anderson with a little flip backhander, and he put it just wide. And then Maxwell for Minnesota clears it the link to the ice, and it's going to be icing called against the Minnesota North Stars. Exclusively on USA Sports, it's the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. More right after this. 43 left in the second period. 2-0 Edmonton. Gary Green, what are your thoughts on the progress of this game?
Well, first of all, I think if the North Stars are going to put one by Grant Fuhr, they're going to have to do a little bit of screening and interfering in front of him. So far, he's been able to see those pucks, been able to come up with some key saves. 23-16, the shots on net so far in favor of the North Stars. Now Minnesota's Giles fires it down the ice and did so from his own side of center ice, and so an icing call and another face-off back in the Minnesota end of the ring. Dennis Brooke, who's been a 50-goal scorer here in this league for the Washington Capitals, this year found himself not in quite the same role. He only acquired 17 goals, didn't play a lot during the last course of the season, but Bill Mahoney has convinced him to check as well as create offense. And so far in the playoffs, Marouk has been getting a lot of ice time, and he has been playing well. Very well indeed. The little center iceman, he's had 5 goals, 4 assists, 9 points in 12 playoff games. Here's Vogelin, shoots wide by a couple of feet. Now Platt getting it to center, and Marouk slides it into the Edmonton zone. Vogelin back to get it to Pat Hughes. That's Marouk in to check on Hughes, who works it loose to McClellan. Now ahead to Hunter. Here's a line that's been very effective for Edmonton in the playoffs. They shoot it in. First back to get it to Ashton. Cleared but not out. Craig held it in, shoots one, and Beaupre got a piece of that. Now it is Marouk to Willie Platt, number 24. Platt on right wing. Taken out of the play nicely by Coffey. And here's McClellan, the former Pittsburgh Penguin. Leaving it there for Hughes, moving right in. He scores! Number 16, Pat Hughes. Pat Hughes, only his second goal to the playoffs, but he looked like a sniper there. He could have shot, and a lot of players would have shot much earlier. Watch him walk in. Takes the shot, then walked in a little further, let it go, and wristed it by Beaupre. And Edmonton has opened up a 3-0 lead in this game. Here's Cemenko for Edmonton, clearing it in. Lars Lindgren back after it. Lindgren shot it ahead to Bellows. Bellows at center ice to Steve Payne, knocked away and Coffey. And loses to Broughton with a quick right wing pass to Bellows. Coffey skates him off. Drag into the corner. Now Bellows coming up with it. Got it in front. Broughton fanned out it, and Gretzky and the Oilers start back. Number 99, Gretzky. Feeds it through. Curry scores! Gary Curry. There's the playmaking ability of Gretzky. Swerves into the middle. Perfect pass to Curry. He slaps home his 9th goal to the playoffs. Another look. Gretzky to Curry. That happened so many times during the season. And look at the pinpoint pass that Gretzky gives Curry, who slaps home his 9th goal to the playoffs. That's the leading figure in the Stanley Cup playoffs this year. Now Pozar right back. Pozar shoots one, and Hurst fell in front of that to block it. Now the puck held against the Minnesota goal, and now Levy and Dave Lumley take a push at each other. Dino Cicerelli off to the side of the action. Now a pair of quick goals there. And quickly it is 4-0 in favor of Edmonton. The first scoring play, 17-22, Hughes from McClelland and Coffey. And then Curry from Gretzky and Craig at 18:01. So a pair of quick ones at Edmonton with a 4-0 lead. 2 goals in a 29-second span by Pat Hughes and Yari Curry. 4-0 here in favor of Edmonton. From the face-off, the Oilers low trying to center one. Now Pozar trying to get a pass in front of the net, but Levy knocked it away.
Held in by the Oilers, Lowe. Kevin Lowe checked in. Now Hirsch knocked it back to the net. Jam up there. A penalty going to be called here for a high sticking infraction. And against Edmonton. So a penalty coming up against the Oilers and against Jaroslav Pozar, the native of Czechoslovakia. Here you see the action in the corner. Sticks did go up. Alec called it against Pozar. A high sticking call here with 1:27 remaining in the period. Coming up at our intermission, we'll get a Minnesota side of what's happening in this game from the injured center iceman Keith Acton. He could be back for game 2. He'll probably get into that with Al Trutwig in our upcoming intermission. Here's Brad Maxwell as the North Stars. Ferguson to McAdam. He moves in on right wing. Center to Ferguson. Shot blocked by Messier. And Gretzky back for Edmonton. Number 99, Gretzky. Pass to Messier, but offside, says the linesman. And we're down to 1:05 to play. Number 99, Wayne Gretzky. Made a pretty little play here, but just offside. That's what people forget about Gretzky is he may pass the puck as well as any player you'll ever see, or I've ever seen. And Gordie Howe, the Hall of Fame great, says that Gretzky may be the best player he's ever seen in the game when he doesn't have the puck, the way he maneuvers into open ice and things like that. Here's Hughes, number 16 for Edmonton. Clearing it ahead on left wing. Carrying in was number 12, Hunter. Now he has to circle back. Hunter got it to center, intercepted by Broughton. We're in the final minute of period 2. Bellows for Minnesota trying to break down. Gets it into Broughton, now to Payne. Backhander. Coffey got a piece of that and it deflected wide. Now Bellows can't get the shot off. Maxwell scores! Steve Payne deflected it. And Minnesota finally breaks through on Grant Fuhr. And it had to take a close-in deflection. Number 44, Payne, was standing in the line of fire. Puck came to the point. Maxwell shot. And Payne deflected it in. There's another look. Both Payne and Broughton in front of the net. But it was the first man, Payne, who seemed to get a stick on it. Third angle, maybe you'll pick it up better here. There's the deflection right there by Steve Payne. Steve Payne finally puts Minnesota on the scoreboard with a power play goal, cutting the Edmonton lead to 4-1. Bellows and Brad Maxwell got assists. Now Edmonton get it into the Minnesota zone. The North Stars start back. Cleared to center to McAdam. McAdam moving it in on left wing. Trying to center one, Messier. Knocks that down, and Mark Messier ducks under a check. Cleared it, and there's the buzzer to end the period. The fans here were hollering that Minnesota should have had a penalty right at the end of the period, but none was called. Shots on goal in the second period, favoring the Minnesota North Stars by a margin of 13-10. In the game, Minnesota has outshot Edmonton 24-19, but the scoreboard tells a different story. Immediately, the puck cleared in by Minnesota, but Edmonton coming right back. The Oilers lead 4-1, and here is a chance for McClellan. He scores! Kevin McClellan makes it 5-1 for Edmonton. McClellan, number 24, acquired in a trade this year from the Pittsburgh Penguins, walked in on the right side and just took a big slap shot and put it by Don Beaupre. Well, the early goal that Gary Green was talking about, putting Minnesota perhaps back in the thick of this game, goes the other way, and Kevin McClellan makes it 5-1, and now Minnesota, I believe, will make a goaltending change. Gilles Melas comes over the boards and will replace Don Beaupre. Beaupre, who's been the playoff hero is taken out here early in the third period. Gary Green, I had talked about that in just a comment prior to you arriving, that Beaupre hasn't been as sharp in this game. There you see that last goal by McClellan, but I was talking about Beaupre not being as sharp in this game as he had been in the St. Louis series.
Well, Dan, I thought that he also was giving up a little bit too much room between his legs. Two of those goals were scored right in the 5-hole, and that last one, he was way out of his crease, cutting down the angle.
The score here in the third period favors Edmonton 5-1. Edmonton was the #1 goaltender with Minnesota, but after having an injury and then Beaupre coming on so strongly in the playoffs, Meloche has been more or less a forgotten man.
Well, I think many people wondered in that series against St. Louis why Gilles Meloche did not play. You can't argue the decision now, but Meloche had such an excellent record against St. Louis over the course of the years. Meanwhile, at the opposite end, there's no consideration for pulling this man, Grant Fuhrer. Although he allowed 1 goal against Payne on power play, he has been excellent. His backup tonight, Andy Moog, sitting resting. Moog did get in for the 7th game of the Calgary series, but was pulled halfway through the game, and Grant Fuhrer replaced him. There you see Don Beaupre having played 2 periods and 13 seconds before being pulled.
Gilles Meloche in the regular season played 52 games, Beaupre 33, and in the playoffs it's been the other way around. Beaupre tonight playing in his 11th game. This is only the 3rd playoff action for Meloche. He had been in goal for 1 win and 1 defeat in the first round of Minnesota playoff play against Chicago, and a 3.50 goals against average in the playoffs. Anyway, Meloche in there, and here we resume action in the third period. Under number 12, trying to center one, a shot, and Meloche had to slide across and make a fine save from close in there. So he had to be sharp very early. It was McClellan again. Here is Kevin McClellan, number 24. Behind the net, now centered. Nobody there for Edmonton to hold it in. And Kevin Lowe, number 4, has to go back. Over to Fogelin. Fogelin tripped, but McClellan gets it. Passing it now to Hughes. Giles checked him. And now Marouk starts back. But back of the play, Giles and Hughes had their sticks up high. They have to be separated by the linesman. And will get penalties on the play. That last scoring play, by the way, for Edmonton, McClellan is 3rd of the playoffs. Hughes and Lowe, the assists at the 13-second mark. And we have penalties here. The score, 5-1 in favor of Edmonton. You're watching Stanley Cup action on USA.
So Meloche, as you see him, well, both teams now going off. They've got 2 men in the penalty box for the Oilers. And as you can see, that last save, Pat Hughes, and play was continuing, both 2-minute minors.
Here's Bellows for Minnesota. Trying to clear it in. Did. Broughton for Minnesota to Maxwell. A drive and a quick glove save by Grant Fuhrer. He just snared that one.
All the way from the point, Maxwell getting off a good hard shot. Now let's take a look at it. You can see that puck going back to Maxwell. He centered himself right in the middle of the ice area. What a sharp save by Grant Fuhrer. You can see that right-handed glove coming zipping up from his side. Fuhrer once again is infuriating the Minnesota North Stars.
Glenn Sather, they call him Slaps. He was quite a competitor in his playing days, and he's blossomed into quite a hockey general manager and coach. Shot from the point by Levy wide of the net, and Gretzky comes back for Edmonton. Into Coffey, but speeding in ahead of the play away over on the right side. And offside was Mark Messier.
And talking to Wayne Gretzky's father last night, he says he thinks Wayne is back to form. He was suffering not only maybe a little bit from that shoulder, but flu as well. And he just thought before that last Calgary game that Gretzky was back to true form, had some color in him. Meanwhile, this man here, Paul Coffey, I just think is one of the finest offensive rushing defensemen in the NHL. He can really fly.
I got a kick out of what Walter Gretzky, Wayne's dad, said. He said, I watched the game against Calgary, Game 7, and I knew Wayne was all right. When he's going both ways at the same time, he's okay.
Well, that was pretty cute. And It really tells you about Wayne's play because he really does have the ability to almost go both ways at the same time. Very agile.
Brian Bellows out on right wing. There is number 99, Wayne Gretzky. In this game, Gretzky assisted on the first goal, scored the second, then assisted on the fourth Edmonton goal. So he's had a 3-point evening. Here's Greg for the Oilers breaking in. Maxwell knocked him down. No penalty call. The fans thought there should have been. Back comes Bellows. Curry broke it up. Now Levy to Maxwell. Over to Bellows. Brian Bellows clearing it on the boards. And Greg Levy feeds it to Bellows. Randy Gregg checks him. Now Brian Bellows moving in. Centers one. Here's Levy a drive, and Pure another sensational save on Greg Levy. And Gretzky comes back. Gretzky saw Curry go in offside, so circles back, comes again. Feeding it in on the right wing side to the defenseman Melnick. He lost it. Back comes Edmonton. Shot to center. Gretzky intercepts it. And the Oilers drop it to Paul Coffey. The number 17, Curry, down to Gretzky. Gretzky couldn't get around the defense. Tom Hurst, that rookie defenseman out of the University of Minnesota, knocked him down, but Gretzky, while flat on the ice, shot it back in anyway. Here's a long pass at center to McAdam, but a two-line offside. Whistle down against Minnesota. That pass came from inside the Minnesota blue line. Well, who taught Wayne Gretzky to make passing plays while flat on the ice as he just did?
Well, watch Gretzky and watch him closely. There he is. He controls the puck. He knows he hasn't got much of a scoring opportunity. The North Stars were all lined up at the blue line. But look at his footwork. He pushes the puck ahead with his skate. He is really something. He can do it all. Very talented individual, as we all know, anyone who's watched him.
Gretzky and his play, Gary, when you see him as often as we do, you just run out of things to say about him.
No words can describe him.
Puck at the Edmonton line. Coffey flips it to the Minnesota line. Penalized players are back on. Now Coffey intercepts a pass at center. Breaks in on left wing. Shoots! Missed by a couple of feet. Here's Al McAdam, number 25 for Minnesota. Checked in the play, and Messier starts back. Lars Lindgren knocked it away. Now it is Anderson shooting it back into his own zone, taken there by Lee Fogelin. Now to Messier. Ahead to number 9, Glenn Anderson, dropping it back. Shot into the corner by Lindstrom. Now Anderson shot it through the crease. Minnesota clearing it. Right back comes Anderson. Checked in the play, and Napier has it for Minnesota. Mark Napier trying to break away on right wing. He's checked in low. Lines it around on right wing for Lindgren, number 13. Leaving it for Pozar. Upended by Giles, and Kurt Giles here will get a tripping penalty. And Minnesota, with a 5-1 lead, will have a power play chance. For our local systems, we'll pause here. You're watching Stanley Cup play on USA.
Penalty box for the North Stars. 2 minutes for tripping was the call. He just got out of the penalty box. There you see him sending Yaroslav Pozar through the air with the greatest of ease. Not by Pozar's choice.
Edmonton with a 5-1 lead, now with a chance to blow this one out of sight with a power play opportunity. Puck comes to the Edmonton end of the rink, and number 4, Kevin Lowe. Now feeding it ahead to Lumley. Drop pass to Linzman. Centered one, but Steve Payne, number 44, intercepting. Clears it all the way down the ice. Pure leaves it for Lowe. Edmonton with the man advantage. Here's Linzman, number 13. Gets around Maxwell. Linzman in front of the net. Never got the shot off. And then Marouk cleared it to center ice. The Oilers, number 7, Coffey. Rink-wide pass across to Gregg, who shot it in. Now Meloche out of the goal to clear it away. Gary Curry tried to drop it back to Coffey. Now to Linzman. Linzman into the corner behind the net to Gretzky. Centered one, but out of the reach of Curry. And the puck comes all the way back into the Edmonton zone. Here's Coffey. Ahead to Gregg. Now to Curry. Drop pass to Cemenko to Gretzky. Cuts in, fakes the shot. Gretzky still with the puck. Lost it, and Neil Broughton has a breakaway. Broughton in all alone. Pure, another sprawling save. And Grant Pure has been sensational.
Well, it doesn't seem to matter how many mistakes the Oilers might make. Grant Pure is there to back them up.
Gretzky lost it that time. Here he comes again to Curry. Curry couldn't get a shot away, and Bellows comes back for Minnesota. Number 23, Brian Bellows. Rink-wide pass over onto the other wing. Lindgren flipping it in for Maxwell. Maxwell shot it around on the boards. And now Messier for Edmonton comes to center ice. Messier tied up on the play. Here's Al McAdam. McAdam for Minnesota. Drops it back. Levy shoots one just wide. Now Paul Holmgren breaks his stick with his shot. Holmgren has no stick, tries to kick at it in the corner, and then fell on top of it. And we'll get a face-off. Well, we saw the speed of Neil Broughton moments ago, didn't we?
Well, watch Wayne Gretzky giving up that puck, something he doesn't very often do, but there goes Broughton, and he is way ahead of Gretzky. Look at this move by Pure. He slides across, making the pad save. He just continues to frustrate the North Stars. 5-1 for the Oilers. Grant Pure is the reason why.
Penalty is now expired to Giles, so Minnesota back at full strength, but trailing 5-1. 13:35 left in the third period. Here's Minnesota stealing one, centered it to Holmgren, but sliding across was Fogelin to intercept the pass out and make a fine defensive play. We'll be right back as the Stanley Cup playoffs continue on USA. With Gary Green and Al Stroutwick, Dan Kelly with you on the USA Network. 5-1 Edmonton leading. Word from the Edmonton dressing room is Yaroslav Kozar has a twisted knee, and no word on whether he'll be able to return to this game.
Well, he got up very
There's Walter
slowly.
Gretzky, Wayne's dad, in the crowd here tonight. Now Levy shot from the point blocked. Loose puck into the corner, and Anderson, number 9, feeds it around to Willie Lindstrom. Now to Anderson. Anderson moving in. The play is offside at the Minnesota blue line. Tell me about Bill Mahoney and his change of goaltenders at the 13-second mark here of the third period. He no doubt had the same thoughts as I did when I mentioned that Beaupre hadn't looked as sharp, but isn't it as much a move to get Mr. Meloche ready for game 2 as anything else?
I think that has a great deal to do with it. I think also you're trying to look for a little bit of momentum, something to pick your team up. You don't consider that you've totally lost it yet, but I think good point that Meloche most likely will start game number 2 here Thursday night.
Pick your team up and maybe slow the other team down. So there are various reasons for that change. Here's Minnesota on the attack, but Randy Gregg was there to make a fine defensive play. Couldn't clear it though. Giles held it in. His shot wide. Back comes Messier. Uses the boards to clear it in. Meloche missed it behind the net. Willie Lindstrom now checked, and Hirsch for Minnesota gives it to McAdam. He drops it to Giles. Giles to center ice to McAdam. Messier now knocking it down. Mark Messier for the Oilers into Glenn Anderson. Around Giles. Poked it through the crease. And then Lindstrom was pulled down, but no penalty call. And Holmgren back for Minnesota to Marouk. Dennis Marouk carried it in. It was poked back out. Maxwell then carried on in, and it's offside at the Edmonton blue line. For our local systems, we'll pause now. The Stanley Cup playoffs are coming your way on USA Sports. Now, Larry Melnick for Edmonton has been used sparingly tonight. Cleared it in. Copy of the other point. Centers it to Hughes. His shot blocked by Craig Levy. And Minnesota's Ashton starts back. He's checked. Now McClellan, number 24, dropping it back to his own blue line. This is Melnick to Copy. Copy flips it ahead to Hughes. Number 34, Levy back after it. Hughes into forecheck. Here's McClellan out in front. Shot by Hunter, and a save there by Meloche. This line for Edmonton, McClellan, Hughes, and Hunter has been very sharp, and you just saw a living example there. Meanwhile, a penalty on the play against Minnesota. We're coming down to the final minutes in this game. We'll be back with more on USA Sports.
Greg Levy, 2 minutes for roughing in that corner area. Dave Hunter got off just an excellent shot. 8:26 was the time. Number 34, Craig Levy, getting the penalty for roughing for the North Stars.
Craig Levy, who split the season between the Oilers, or between the North Stars, and their Salt Lake City Farm Club, and he's been a regular through most of the playoffs. Now Broughton breaking away 2-on-1. To Bellows, wide open. And Fuhr dove out and got a piece of it with his stick. He used a little poke check to break that one up. Lindgren at the point, fires, and fired it wide. And Cemenko shot up the center for Edmonton. Now stolen by Gretzky from Giles. Quick shot, Giles blocked that. Runs Gretzky in against the boards. Now behind the net, Lindgren clears one. Willie Lindstrom couldn't handle it at the point, and Coffey has to go back for Edmonton. Ju Cemenko chipped in. Giles back to get it. Giles upended and fell on top of the puck, and we'll get a face-off in the Minnesota zone now with 10:50 remaining here in the third period.
Well, I think it would be pretty difficult right now for Bill Mahoney and the Minnesota North Stars to climb back up after being down right now 5-1, almost impossible. Grant Deere just has made one great save after another. Watch this one. You can see the poke check that he made on Bellows. When a goaltender's playing as well as Fuhr has been through the course of this game, he also deserves a little bit of luck as well. I think that luck was no other North Star there to pick up that loose puck.
Here's Lindstrom, made a drop pass, but it came outside the blue line, and Anderson has to go back to Lindstrom, now to Anderson. Minnesota on the power play. Lindsman to the line, poke check by Maxwell, and Ferguson feeds Brad Maxwell. Long shot, stick save by Fuhr on a hard shot by Maxwell. Here's Anderson for Edmonton. Cleared to center to Lindsman. In across the line, Maxwell takes over and shot it back to center. Now Kenny Lindsman for Edmonton circling. He leaves it for Messier. Mark Messier into the Minnesota zone. Dropped it to Paul Coffey. Over to the other point to Lindstrom. Back to Coffey. And a good play by the veteran Ferguson to break it up and clear it down the ice. Lindstrom going back for Edmonton. Gives it to Coffey. Coffey at center to Hughes. Number 16, Hughes. In for Hunter. Good play there by Hirsch on the defense, but Minnesota couldn't clear it. Coffey to Hunter. He scores! Number 12, Dave Hunter.
Well, the offensive Oilers take over. Watch this move. Now watch right at the top of the screen, right at the blue line, Paul Coffey. He stops that play from coming out of the own zone. He was the key to that goal. He fed it to Hunter, and Hunter, as Melange goes down, Hunter goes up with it. Once again, the key right here, look at the way that Paul Coffey breaks up that play. Just a very smart defenseman. Feeds it across to Hunter. Hunter goes high.
Power play goal by Hunter. With Craig Levy in the penalty box, and it is 6-1. Edmonton leading. And that goal more or less puts this one out of reach.
Well, I think it's very fitting as well that Dave Hunter gets that goal. He has played extremely well through the course of this game. He doesn't get a lot of offensive credit. He's a hard-working left winger, up and down his wing. Very aggressive as well, but aggressive in smart ways.
Now it is shot in by Edmonton. Melange back of the net. Clearing one on the boards to Giles. And Lawton, number 98, checked in the play. Here is Jackson, number 29, moving in. Jackson around Hirsch. Hirsch dove and made a poke check to clear it away. Now it's Hughes in there, or at least Hunter again. Digging in, forechecking. Hunter, number 12, still has that puck loose on the board. Knocked down, continues to battle, gets up, centered it to Gregg. Now in front to Hughes, but First intercepts that and feeds Napier just out of his reach. Grant Fuhr out of the goal to clear it around on the boards to Gregg. Gregg check. Now Napier for Minnesota. Kevin McClellan rides him out of the play. And here is Hunter for Minnesota, or for Edmonton, getting it out of the zone. Now Randy Gregg just dumps it in. Meloche handles that long shot. And Levy beats it ahead on the wing to Lawton. Lawton just turned, shot it down the ice. They rule it went off a Minnesota player, and so there is no icing. Puck is cleared in. Now Gretzky tried to carry it in with his skate. Bellows breaks that up. Number 23, Brian Bellows, long shot. Skate saved by Fuhr. And Cemenko winds it around onto the boards to Curry. Curry and Levy fight for it. Now Bellows in to get it. Gretzky stole it. Gretzky passed it. Picked up there by Curry. Behind the back pass to Cemenko. Cemenko into the corner. He and Maxwell give each other a rough ride. Now Brad Maxwell cleared one. Over onto the boards to Payne. Now to number 7, Neil Broughton. Broughton for Minnesota. Into the Edmonton zone to Bellows. Bellows trying to center one. Knocked away and the Oilers break up. Curry with Gretzky on a 2-on-1. To Gretzky, back to Curry. He shoots, he scores! Somebody here in Edmonton is going to write a song about these guys someday. Gretzky to Curry to Gretzky.
Well, take a look at exactly that pass play. Just a beautiful pass play. And what a tip in by Jari Curry. Meloche goes down. Curry goes up over top. I really question right now, Meloche, he's gone down in a couple of goals since he's come into the game. You'll see the beautiful pass play. These two, Jari Curry and Wayne Gretzky, they know where each other is going to be, and they take advantage of it.
Jari Curry's second goal of the night. Now Minnesota shooting it in. Loose puck taken by Ashton. Fired one across onto the other side. Poked in behind the net. Melnick couldn't clear it. Now Minnesota holding it in, but it is knocked by Hunter to center ice. Here's Coffey to Lumley, number 20. Lumley into the corner. He's given a rough ride, and now Hirsch for Minnesota has the puck behind his own goal. The North Stars clear it. Coffey held it in, got it into the corner. Here's Lumley. Now to Hunter again. Number 12, Hunter, shot it behind the net to Lumley. And Edmonton center it. Here's Linsman. Back pass intended for Hunter, broken up by Hirsch, and Platt comes back for Minnesota. The North Stars are trailing 7-1. And they look like a very weary team at this point.
Well, they really do, Dan. The thing that I've been astonished by tonight is I thought the Minnesota North Stars would hit and come out and play much more aggressively against the Oilers, but they have not. They've been trying to play their type of game, an offensive game. It's not going to work. You're not going to beat the best at trying to play that way. You're going to have to do what Calgary did.
We're down to 5:51 left in this game. We'll be back with more on USA Sports. By Jari Curry. He has now 10 on the playoff season. That last one, Curry from Gretzky and Lowe at 12:39 to make it 7-1. Minnesota on the attack, but can't hold it in for long. Right back comes Messier to number 9, Anderson. Glenn Anderson leaving it for Messier. Tried to slide it in front. That's broken up by Giles. And it's held against the boards, and we get a stoppage in play in the Minnesota zone. Well, you know Bill Mahoney very well, Gary Green, having had him as an assistant coach. What will his regrouping probably be for game 2?
Well, I'd be very surprised if Bill isn't trying to get across to his team right now the need for them to try and slow the Oilers down. Now, granted, Minnesota's a fast-skating team that can also score goals, but you're not going to try and outscore the Edmonton Oilers. You're going to have to work hard against them, take the body, slow the guys like Curry, Gretzky, Anderson, Messier. You've got to slow those type of players down. Coffey is well back in the point. If you don't do that, you're not going to win.
Here's Curry shooting one, and Meloche stopped that. Bellows cleared it to Lindgren. Now Curry holding it in. Now Cemenko pokes it in. Gretzky into the corner. Now Payne for Minnesota, number 44. He scored the only North Star goal. Cleared it to Bellows, who shot it in. Muir now knocks it into the corner. Here's Bellows behind the net to Broughton. Neil Broughton to Payne, shot. Muir the save again. Well, even when the North Stars come up big, Grant Muir is there to break their heart. Here's Gretzky, shoots wide by about a foot. Now Melnick at the point held it in. Into Curry behind the net to Gretzky. Gretzky taken out of the play. Now Broughton tried to shoot it. Here's Coffey, centers. They score! Curry, and injured in behind the net is Wayne Gretzky as he was hammered into the boards. And Gretzky is hurt.
Dan, that shoulder, the shoulder that is bothering Wayne Gretzky, even though he's not about to tell too many people about it. I just think, and you'll look at the concerned face of Glenn Sather right now. Gretzky went down. As soon as that shoulder got banged into the boards, he went down, and he went down hard. The goal is really not very important at this point.
Well,
Watch
the goal has been disallowed. There's the hit there by Lindgren. And the goal has been disallowed. The whistle had gone, but more importantly, Gretzky injured.
Well, I believe it was that left shoulder of his that went hard right up against the glass area. Lars Lindgren just putting a good check into Gretzky. But there you'll see the force. Whether or not Gretzky may have just had the wind knocked out of him, time will only tell. He's getting up slowly. He seems to be a little bit dizzy, Dan, so maybe it was just the wind that was knocked out of him. Hopefully for Gretzky's sake, it's not that shoulder, but I'd be surprised if it wasn't. There you see it. It was really a full body check. Not just a shoulder that was given by Lars Lindgren, but a full body slam against him. And he is really groggy right now as he's being helped off the ice by the trainer.
Number 99, the great superstar of the Oilers. If not the best to ever play this game, certainly one of them. And as I mentioned, there was no goal in the play. The whistle had gone after Gretzky had been knocked down. The puck came out and Edmonton put it in, but no goal. The whistle had gone. Meanwhile, Edmonton leads this game anyway, 7-1. And I'm sure everybody almost swallowed their tongue when they saw the way Gretzky was lying motionless in behind that net.
Well, especially when you're winning 7-1, that's the time that an injury to Gretzky would hurt the most, because really this game is way out of hand.
Puck is held on the boards in the Edmonton zone. And we'll have a face-off there. We're down to 4 minutes, 20 seconds. Walter Gretzky, Wayne's dad.
Mr. Gretzky and his wife, Phyllis. Walter and Phyllis celebrating their wedding anniversary yesterday. You can see the concerned look on Walter's face as well. He looks up at the clock and he's breathing a heavy sigh right now, just wondering how Wayne is.
Here is Coffey, number 7, clearing one on the boards, and the Oilers' Lindsman comes to center. Into Yari Curry. He's checked in the play. Puck back at center ice, and Paul Coffey gives it to Lindsman. Now to Curry. That's knocked away, and Napier for Minnesota flips it into the Edmonton zone. Coffey back to get it. Number 7, the Oilers with a big 7-1 lead. We're down to less than 4 minutes left. Here's Cicerelli into the center ice area to Lindgren. The North Stars played well earlier. Fell behind 2-0 at that time. Might have been ahead in the game. Had their hearts broken time after time by Grant Muir, but the Oilers, as this game has gone on, have built up momentum and built up a 7-1 lead. Now a penalty coming up in the Minnesota zone. An elbowing foul called against Hunter. And Brian Lawton then took a push at Hunter. Over comes Willie Plett of Minnesota to say something to Hunter, who's going to get a penalty.
It would be very foolish on either team's part right now to get involved in any further fracas. 3:21 remaining. There you'll see Hunter. Well, that wasn't only a little bit of a charging, a little bit of a jump, but he also kind of rubbed the shoulder, the elbow, and the glove as well into Brian Lawton. Number 12, Dave Hunter, going to the penalty box for the Oilers.
3:21 remaining, 7-1, Edmonton leading. As I mentioned, we'll be moving to the Wales Conference Finals for Game 2 on Thursday night as the Stanley Cup champion Islanders take on the Canadiens in Montreal. Game time is set for 7:30 Eastern time, right here on USA. Montreal, of course, won tonight, 3-0 over the Islanders. Their rookie goaltender, Payne, coming up with his third shutout of the playoffs, and Montreal leads the series 1-0. Game 2 here for you on USA. Puck shot in by Edmonton. Back to get it is Levy. Now to Broughton. Ahead to Payne. Payne shoots it in. Puck cleared on the boards. Maxwell at the point. Fires. Broughton deflected it. Fuhr stopped back and held on to it. And the Edmonton Oilers may have a big 7-1 lead now. They have this game in control, but in the early part of this game, Grant Fuhr was the big difference.
He really has held them in. Look at that knockover by Don Jackson, number 29 for the Oilers. Number 7, Broughton, standing right there in front of the net, looking for a rebound. But no rebound was given up by Fuhr, who I am sure is on the mind of Coach Bill Mahoney of the North Stars.
This was a 2-0 game until 17:22 of the second period, and Minnesota was very much in it. And as a matter of fact, at that point, it had really the best of the play, but then 2 quick goals built up a 4-0 lead, and the North Stars just haven't been able to recover.
Goaltending in playoffs, it's so important. How many times during the course of playoffs have we seen and also said that it's the goaltenders that win you key games in playoffs? Well, you'd have to say that this first game in the series in the semifinals is a key game.
There's a puck bouncing over the boards at the Minnesota players' bench. The North Stars also made a big line change here tonight, coming up with the Neil Broughton move to center ice on a line with, trying to think of that combination, Bellows on right wing, and over on the left side, Steve Payne. That was a switch. Will they stay with that, in your opinion?
Well, it all depends on whether or not Keith Acton can play it. Dan, I really think that the North Stars have missed Keith Acton badly tonight. He just gives you that little bit of extra spark. He's an instigator out there. He plays well at both ends of the rink, and I think they miss him sorely, as have they Gordy Roberts as well.
Here's Lawton for Minnesota. Stop by Fuhr. Lawton and Cicerelli on a 2-on-1, and Grant Fuhr beat him again.
Fuhr continues to play well. Let's take a look at number 98, the first-round pick, Brian Lawton, as he tries to go through that 5-hole on Grant Fuhr. Brian Lawton, who General Manager Louis Nanny says he's got lots of ability, is probably better defensively than he is offensively, yet possesses good offensive talent, just doesn't want to bury it home. He wants to always pass it out. That time he shot, didn't go in.
Here's Don Jackson for Edmonton. The Oilers shorthanded, clear at the length of the ice. Going back after it is Giles, number 2. Edmonton shorthanded. 20 seconds left in the penalty to Dave Hunter. Here's Giles to center. Shot it in. Now stolen by McAdam, and Fuhr again. Makes the save, and Lindsman starts back. Lindsman, number 13. To the line, drops it back to Randy Gregg. Now cleared it in. Here's Giles shooting it back out. The penalty has expired to number 12, Dave Hunter. We're down to 1:15 left in this one. A 7-1 blowout for the Edmonton Oilers. Here's Lawton to Maxwell. Glove save by Grant Fuhr. Well, the Minnesota North Stars are going to go to bed tonight with visions of Grant Fuhr dancing in their heads.
Well, I'm sure they will do that exactly. If they don't, they better, because he has been the man that has come up big for them. There you'll see him once again. He has looked so strong, so sharp, right from the course of the very first minute of tonight's game. He just keeps getting right back up on his feet, even though at times he's gone down. That shows you how well rested he appears to be. Good strength. Grant Fuhr.
By the way, you mentioned Keith Acton. Here's Maxwell shoots to the point and missed the net. Everyone thought that Acton had a wrist injury, but he divulged in his interview with Al Kruglich it was really a knee injury that's keeping him out. And you wonder now whether he'll be able to play again.
Well, that you will. Also, doctors right now are down looking at Wayne Gretzky. They have not given any indication as to whether that was a shoulder injury or whether he was just knocked out, perhaps. And I am sure, Dan, that even if it was a shoulder injury, that little notice is going to be given. You just don't like to give the opposition any knowledge whatsoever of injuries if you can help it. You heard Keith Atkins say that. They were trying to keep it a secret. Tough to keep things secret, especially when it involves some of your better players.
Well, Acton did suffer a wrist injury in Game 6 of the St. Louis series, but apparently he suffered a knee injury in the third period of Game 7 of the St. Louis series, and that's why he's been unable to play tonight. There's the puck cleared on the boards. Edmonton with a 7-1 lead here. Anderson shot it to center ice. Lindstrom then knocked down by Lars Lindgren, and Lindgren cleared it to the Edmonton line. And then a hand pass knocked ahead from one Edmonton player to another. Well, even though this game is 7-1 in favor of Edmonton, shots on goal favor Minnesota 34-26. And Gary, I know when you hear a score of this game, you think, well, that was an easy one. You watch the first 37 minutes of this game. This has not been a 7-1 game.
No, that it hasn't, Dan. And I'm sure that the media here, as well as the Edmonton Oilers, aren't going to exactly be tooting their own horns after tonight's game. They knew Grant Fuhr played well, and they also remember back to that first game of the Calgary series. When they won, this whole city thought it was going to go in 4 or maybe 5. Calgary Flames took them to the limit.
Funny things happen in the playoffs. Here's